Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Win. My name is Tim, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Ken.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
And today we've got some fun news. The SCOTUS is hearing a case, Mississippi, abortion. Ken, what are your thoughts?
I remember very distinctly two discussions I've had about this, specifically my opinion on abortion. And each time I said that it wasn't important, not because I'm a man and it's a woman's issue, that like I'm not even coming at it from that angle. I always viewed it as my opinion doesn't really matter because right now it's just an opinion that happens to be a minority percentage of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if that's the case anymore. I honestly don't. That being said, my opinion is I think we should just outright outlaw it, outlaw abortion. But then again, I don't actually provide you with any like sort of secular arguments, how you would say real reasoning. All of mine comes strictly from the religious realm or spirituality in general, and how that sort of plays with people.
Yeah, understandable. Well, let's hear some more secular art-based arguments then. Ken, if you want to cover the state's argument, I can cover the opposition's argument.
Yeah, this is actually wonderful because the gentleman, I think his name is Stewart, who is representing Mississippi or whatever it is.
Yes.
I'm not sure. He's representing the plaintiff here. Is how I read this. I probably read it wrong, being honest here. Either way, he did the heavy lifting for me, so all I have to do is pretty much read what he said. Thank you. Shout out
Mississippi
to you.
Department of Health, technically.
There you go. The Mississippi Department of Health. He's representing them. Thank goodness I was partially correct.
Yeah.
He starts by saying that ultimately this is a state's right to decide, which, taking it just face value, if you don't take anything else into account, I would probably agree with that because that is not one of the it's not one
Correct.
of the powers delegated to the federal government. So under the auspices of the 10th Amendment, it would revert back to the states.
Yep, that makes sense.
But there's a lot more to it than just that, so I digress. We'll continue along.
Were it so easy?
Yes. He was asked specifically about, does it matter if we talk about the autonomy to have an abortion, privacy, or just outright the right to an abortion, and or like does talking about one aspect over the other change what he's saying? And ultimately he says no, all three of them are sort of a step removed from the right that is ultimately granted in the Constitution. And what he means is that generally, yes, you do have a right to privacy. Generally, you do have a right to autonomy. But to
Okay.
apply that to bodily integrity and sort of a right to abortion, he says that is not actually grounded in the actual text itself.
Yeah, as we've all been saying for quite some time,
Well, the
to some
one of the
extent at least.
justices one of the justices asked him what I think is a pretty solid question. What would he have us do then? Well, he says it's simple. Were it so simple though. He wants a clarified version of the undue burden standard. I'm not sure exactly what he's going for here. I don't think I got far enough to see him actually explain what he means. I got like halfway through and he didn't explain it, so it's kind of nuts to me. I, I've got no clue. Perhaps he'll talk about it in the future while the case is going on, and we'll learn about what he means specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so sure though. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Another thing is Justice Breyer actually asked him about the concept of stare decisis, which means in Latin it has been decided or it is decided. And Mr. Stewart claims that Casey v. Planned Parenthood actually overturned two previous cases dealing with abortion, which I don't think is correct. I think it's dubious. I don't know though. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Just people are covering that he said it. Nobody knows specifically what he's referencing, and I can't find anything on it. I'm looking. Specifically, for those of you who don't know, KCV Planned Parenthood held that the 14th Amendment fundamentally protects a woman's right to choose to have an abortion. And lastly, one that I thought was a real slam dunk kind of in favor of the abortion argument was Justice Sotomayor actually compared Marbury v. Madison, which I think that was the one that allowed judicial review, which is by far one of the greatest principles ever established.
Yeah.
She compared that to Roe v. Wade in that both of the courts looked inside of the structure of the actual Constitution to find a constitutional right. In the one case, judicial review, in the other case, the right to an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a real slam dunk against, kind of whatever we had going on. Ultimately, he responded, though, and he talks about how there was like some history and tradition. It honestly felt a little rambly to me, so I kind of tuned it out. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Tim, what about the other side? What do they got going on?
Well, reading over Rickleman's argument, she had a few points, and the points that she brought up, I would give them to you, but I don't see any of them being useful, I guess. Really, I got several pages into her argument, and I just went, this makes no sense. So she opens up saying that abortion's a constitutional right, or saying that it'd be unconstitutional to stop you from having an abortion, which is essentially proving the same thing. And no, no, it's not. Just because the court says something doesn't mean it's constitutional. And the court said that we had to segregate black and white kids. Did it make it constitutional? Like, that's a terrible misunderstanding of what the courts do. So then she goes on to talk about, at one point she talks about how over the last half century, abortions have provided women with so much economic freedom. And I wanted to say it was Roberts or one of the justices went, oh, really? Can you provide us the evidence? Like, okay, you say that there's mountains of evidence. Where is it? And she's like, oh, go talk to the economist, and never comes back to it.
Oh, boy. I get the feeling that that's actually real.
Hang on.
That's what's so sick about this.
Yeah, it made no sense that she was arguing it. It's like, if you're going to present something to the court, present it. It was Roberts. So Rickleman goes, in fact, the data has been very clear over the last 50 years that abortion has been critical to women's equal participation in society. It's been critical for their health, to their lives, to their ability to pursue. And then Roberts cuts in, I'm sorry, what kind of data is that? And then Rickleman goes, I would refer to the court to the brief of the economist in this case. Basically saying, I can't be bothered to give you the information that supports my argument, so go read it yourself. Which, for anyone who has ever debated or is a lawyer, knows that that's just wrong. If you're going to make a case, you present your evidence yourself. You don't tell someone to go Google it later. This one is, in my opinion, one of my least favorite arguments that anyone who ever defends abortion makes, is that Europe has better, they claim that Europe has like free abortion or whatever, which just means that they are too ignorant to Google the laws of abortion in Europe, because 97% of the countries in Europe stop abortion at 12 weeks. After the third trimester, abortion is 100% illegal. The ones that are different are Malta, where it's completely illegal, and like Denmark and Finland have, if you can get a doctor or two to sign off on it, you can have an abortion for like an extra like 4 or 5 weeks after the first trimester. But even then, in those countries, to get an abortion to begin with, you generally need to have doctor approval. EU actually has a lot of regulations on abortion that nobody ever thinks about when they're like, oh, well, the European Union's a great place. We should be more like them. Yeah, we should. Stop abortion at 12 weeks. Hard stop. You know? Maybe I'm finally starting to understand Democrats, Ken.
Oh, man. Yep, something about low crime rates, something low poverty, great wages, something great laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somehow, I don't know how they're not the most miserable people on the planet. I don't know.
So
That truly mystifies me.
the last argument that she brought up that I thought was worth mentioning in my read was that her and Gorsuch are going back and forth about undue burden, the undue burden standard, and Rinkelman claims that without the viability standard, undue burden is just racist. She says, "quote because it will ultimately, again, always come down to a claim that the states can bar a certain category of people from exercising the right simply because of the number of people in the category, and that's not a workable standard, and it's not a constitutional standard." End quote. I think she just called it racist. That's the only thing I can grab out of that is that, oh, well, states are going to use it to stop black people from getting abortions. Like, what? You heard it here
Yeah,
first. Undue burden, racist.
I still can't wrap my head around what she's saying with that.
Yeah, and I've read
That's
this.
also mystic.
I've read that a solid 7 or 8 times, and I got nothing. But what I would recommend for all of you is go ahead, listen to the audio. The audio's everywhere. SCOTUS's website has the full text and audio. Give it a listen. Keep up with it. This case will truly decide a lot of what's going to happen in the next few years. Mark my words.
You heard it here first. That's a clairvoyant Tim prediction right there.
On that high note, I hope you all have a great day, and God bless.